It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of March 15th, 2002. And we have 4 movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and start off with the biggest new release of the weekend. And, you know, half of 2001, if you saw a kids' movie in theaters, chances are you saw the trailer for this first film a lot. This particular trailer, and I'm going to show you right now. I mean, considering that it took him almost 20 years to finally get that damn acorn, I mean, he's not wrong, but hey, that's probably one of the best things about these movies in particular. But this is, of course, Ice Age, the first film from Blue Sky Studios from 20th Century Fox, their attempt to join Disney and DreamWorks in the computer animation parade. And why not get the company that made the Academy Award-winning short Bunny to do it? And here we are. We have the voices of Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, and Dennis Leary. And the plot of this movie is that it's set during the days of the Ice Age, obviously. The film centers around 3 main characters: Manny, a no-nonsense woolly mammoth; Sid, a loudmouth ground sloth; and Diego, a sardonic saber-toothed tiger, who come across a human baby and work together to return him to their tribe. Additionally, the film also follows Scrat, a speechless saber-toothed squirrel, who is perpetually searching for a place in the ground to bury his acorn. And like I said, considering that he's had that acorn for almost 20 years now, that thing cannot be good by this point. But I'm putting logic into this, and at least with these films going forward after this film, the logic slowly but surely starts to take a nosedive after a while. But Ice Age was originally intended to be a 2D animated movie for Fox Animation Studios when Don Bluth was running it. However, after that shut down, this became the first film for Blue Sky Studios, and the focus shifted it from making it an action-adventure drama to more of a comedy-oriented one, and brought in several comedic writers to bring the tone down more for a wittier tone. And but the trailers, it looks like your typical buddy animated comedy and very similar to the first Shrek film. And quite frankly, honestly, you can really definitely see it, because it could have easily been a knockoff of Shrek. There's even moments in this movie in particular where it follows the Shrek formula to a T. But I do like the little twists and turns they throw in there to kind of make it its own unique thing to us, specifically with Scrat, and also with the way that Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, and Dennis Leary come together when they need to. And it actually does find a good enough balance with the story overall to make for a very entertaining film. I think the script does a pretty good job of handling the comedic aspects and the dramatic aspects really well. They mesh it together very nicely. There are some good moments of comedy and drama in this movie. Like, there are some great little moments where, you know, Ray Romano will be looking, the Manny character will be looking at this wall of these woolly mammoth hieroglyphics, if you will, like the things on the rocks, and he'll think back to the time when like a member of his family got killed, and like moments like that when there's no dialogue whatsoever, and it's just them using the animation and the music to perfection. It's done very well. I like the way they handle it, but the voice work overall I think is very well done. These 3 have a good camaraderie together, and the animation is very dated compared to the other movies, especially the latter films, which it's funny that the animation got so much better with every other passing film, and the story and the comedy went the complete opposite direction, where they weren't as great. But this is a really good movie. I thought it was a ton of fun. I remember watching it as a kid in the theater, really enjoying it, and I think it still holds up very well on a number of different levels. I think when it's very funny, the comedy can work very well. When it's trying to have a heavier storyline, I think it works pretty well. I think it's still very well done. For the time period, it's fine for what it is, and it's definitely no classic by any means necessary, but in terms of like telling an engaging story, having some likable characters, and some animation of the time that works, that definitely feels dated now, I think it works on a number of levels to say that I do recommend it. It's a very enjoyable film, and it's more than worth the watch anytime you watch it. I mean, it really is a ton of fun. It's a really well-made film. I like it a lot. I still look up to it I still like it very much, even to this day. But there's still 4 more sequels to go from this. And like I said, the quality goes down in terms of story and comedy, but the animation will get a lot better as we move along with these films. But we'll have to wait another 4 years for that one when we get to the Meltdown. But that is the first Ice Age movie. So let's go ahead and move on to the next film we have here. The day another franchise took place in film history, the launch of the Resident Evil movie franchise. Or as most people would like to call it, the day that the Resident Evil franchise went on this depressing low once Paul W.S. Anderson and his wife Mila Jovovich took over. Like, they take the meaning of never work with your spouse and just say, fuck it, we're going to do it anyway. And The results have been mostly terrible movies, and this is definitely one of those movies. This one is loosely based on the Resident Evil franchise, and you have a story where it follows amnesiac heroine Alice, played by Milla Jovovich, and a band of Umbrella Corporation commandos as they attempt to contain the outbreak of the T virus at a secret underground facility. And obviously, it didn't go very well because there's still 5 more films after this to go. So, yeah, it didn't really work out that well. I don't know. Like, to me, the Resident Evil movies, they fail because, A, they clearly get a guy who does not know what he's doing, does not really, he may say that he's a big Resident Evil fan, but if these movies are any indication, these movies do not really show that he is much of a Resident Evil fan. Just like what they were trying to do with a lot of video game movies back then. They weren't getting people who knew the source material, and because of that, a lot of these movies fell apart pretty quickly. It wasn't until well recently, within the last 5-6 years, we finally started to get good video game adaptations, and coincidentally, most of them are family films, like the Angry Birds movies, the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Detective Pikachu. I mean, these are all family films, and it's not like somebody can't take this idea of Resident Evil and actually do something new with it, but even that they're screwing up with Welcome to Raccoon City, and they somehow managed to make that one even worse, even though Paul W.S. Anderson is nowhere to be found in that movie, nor is Milla Jovovich. But I've just never been a Milla Jovovich fan. I do not like her as an actress. Every time I see her in something, it's like she's trying to force herself to become the next Sigourney Weaver in Alien. It's like, take me seriously as an action heroine, and just like, she just can't do it. She can't make this intimidating look with this face that she has. And like, there are so many movies like these movies and the Ultraviolet, and like every movie I see her in, I just can't. I've never seen a good performance from Milla Jovovich, except for The Fifth Element, which came out in '97, and that was almost 30 years ago. But in this, she just really doesn't work for me as Alice. Like, she's not a convincing character. She's just there clearly because she's fucking the director. I mean, that's pretty much what they're doing with these movies. But I mean, none of these characters really are likable per se. You don't really get invested in Michelle Rodriguez or Eric Mabius or Collins or James Purefoy or some of these other actors in here. And it's clear that the movie isn't really taking the source material to T here. They're just watching little clips of the video game and saying, we can write a script around this, even though we've never played the actual games in long form. And again, that's been part of the problem with these video game movies back then, is that they don't get people that know the source material very well. And the CG effects don't hold up very well either. Like, you would think that that'd be the one saving grace, is that, well, at least the CG effects could still hold up, and nope. $33 million budget, and the CG effects look this bad. I don't know. It just seems like a disaster on so many levels. It's not intriguing. It's not interesting. The cast is not really well assembled. The writing is terrible. The CG effects are awful. You just don't feel anything from it per se. Even the biggest Resident Evil fan would look at this and go, I can't really enjoy this movie, and yeah, it's just not for me. It's just not worth it for me. Like, none of these movies ever got any better. They just kept doing the same thing over and over and over again, and nobody really put them to task to it until it was all said and done. And even then, they're still finding new ways to screw it up. But that's Resident Evil for you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next one we have here, and that is Robert De Niro and Eddie Murphy in the comedy Showtime. My God, what a wasted opportunity this was. I mean, this is one of those movies that, on paper, sounds pretty impressive. You got a cast that includes Robert De Niro, Eddie Murphy, Rene Russo, William Shatner making fun of himself. Decent writers on here. The 2 guys from Smallville who created that show wrote the script for this. And an idea that sounds really, really clever. You have a story here where you have Robert De Niro as an LAPD detective sergeant who cares only about doing his job and nailing crooks, and he has this other police officer played by Eddie Murphy who joins the force as a day job until his acting career took off. And during an undercover drug buy, Mitch was working that Trey botched by calling in for backup and drawing media attention. Mitch's partner is shot with a very exotic 12-gauge automatic weapon. Mitch then shoots the video camera out of the hands of a reporter filming the action when the camera refuses to shut it down. Faced with a $10 million lawsuit, the department agrees to let producer Chase Renzi film Mitch's investigation for a new reality TV show and consistently try to make everything more viewer-friendly by changing everything about Mitch's life to fit the stereotypical views of police officers, and partners him with Trey. That's an idea that could lead to a lot of comedic potential. Reality shows were kind of starting to become the norm at this point. We had Survivor, we just had The Amazing Race, Big Brother, The Bachelor was about to premiere, American Idol was about to premiere. I mean, reality TV was about to take over. And here you have a movie that could have easily been so clever and so satirical about the buddy cop genre. It could have been like the equivalent to Bowfinger from a few years before, but nope. Just plays it way too safe. Wastes the possible comedic energy of both Robert De Niro and Eddie Murphy, and just wastes it on lackluster humor that is just so... Like, this is something that CBS would even look at and go, we're funnier than this. And we make some of the most generic-ass sitcoms of all time, but we're funnier than 10 times than what this movie is. And it's just like... It's depressing how low this movie goes in terms of trying to get a good comedy together here. And, like, the pieces are definitely there. The idea is so cleverly put together here from the premise, and it just never capitalizes on it whatsoever. It just goes the safe route. And when you do that, that hurts your movie big time, and just, like, it just completely ruins the ebb and flow of what you're trying to go for here right away. And nothing pissed me off more than when this movie did that. I mean, that made me so mad when this movie did that. It's just like, you motherfuckers. I mean, like they were so close to getting something incredible out of this, and they just went the half-assed way with it at the end. It's just like, nothing about it works. Like, it's not funny, it's not clever, and it's promising to be satirizing to the buddy cop genre, but it's just another lazy attempt at a buddy cop movie. Like it's trying to make fun of itself, but it's just basically becoming another version of something that's already been done. And it just doesn't work. It's just not that clever. It's not that funny. It's not that engaging. And it really runs too long, even though the movie is an hour and a half long. It drags. And it drags to a point where it's just like, for the love of God, somebody shut this off. I mean, it's that terrible of a movie. Like, it's amazing how low this movie sunk and just from the fact that they were so close to making something really, really funny, and they can't even do that because they want to play it safe. They don't want to offend anybody, but they just want to do it like this, and it hurts the movie in the long run in a bad, bad way. And I was really upset when this movie didn't work, and it let me down at so many levels, which it probably let a lot of people down on so many levels. But that's unfortunately what we got here with Showtime. Just a complete mess of a comedy in general. So why don't we end the show on a much better note? How about we actually take a look at a good comedy that probably some of you, a good majority of you out there, probably don't even know what it is. It's a movie called Kissing Jessica Stein. This is a really, really damn good movie. And it's one of those movies that I came across out of the blue. I'd heard some small things about it, and I saw it at I think I saw it at a CD warehouse on DVD, and I picked it up. It was only like $10. And I thought, maybe I'll check it out. If it doesn't work, I could just go back there and get another DVD at some point. But I'm glad I did, because this movie really is really well done. You have Jessica Stein, played by Jennifer Westfeldt, who's actually married to John Hamm, as you see in the trailer there. She's a single, straight, successful journalist, part of a bonded Jewish family living in New York City, who finds herself not as straight as she thought she was when she meets and begins an intense friendship with a career woman named Helen Cooper, played by Heather Jurgensen. And it ultimately leads to romance. And there's also a little bit of a love triangle with a guy that she used to date. And you wonder where the film is going to go from there. But luckily, the film goes to a level where it's really a good, fun, lighthearted comedy, but it also uses a same-sex marriage in a same-sex relationship, I should say, in a very powerful light. And it's a really well-done film. Apparently, from what I remember, this was based off of a scene that these two did in a 1997 off-Broadway play called Lipstick. And like I said, it's one of the early film appearances of both John Hamm and also Michael Showalter. But you also have some notable names in there, like Jackie Hoffman, somebody you've seen in a lot of TV work. You also see, who else? Idina Menzel also has a cameo here as a bridesmaid. A lot of legitimately good talent in this movie. And like I said, it does a very good job of making this relationship between Jessica Stein and the two people that she has a connection with, the guy that she used to date, and this woman that she kind of feels like that maybe there's an opportunity for a relationship there. It's done in a very positive light, and nothing about the movie ever feels forced. Like, I know when this movie came out, there was a lot of people that thought that, especially from the LGBT community, that thought that it didn't deal with the depth of being openly gay, but it was still praised for the way they handled the movie very well here. And this is back in 2001, where it was kind of hard to make gay and bisexuality and work without going a little bit too stereotypical. I mean, Will and Grace, In Living Color, like there was a lot of shows that did these gay jokes. That most of the time it was gay people were either flaming, or they really weren't they weren't really portrayed as as a normal person would be portrayed as. And while there had been definitely some movies where they actually did make it work in the past, like around this time it felt like they were trying to, like, okay, we got to put gay people in a better light here. And I think this movie is a really good example of that. And it just makes you wonder why Jennifer Westphal never really had a successful career after this. We all saw what happened with John Hamm after this point. Like, she's only been in a couple of shows every once in a while. She'd show up on Grey's Anatomy or on This Is Us or Girls or even on Younger. But she hasn't really reached that star power level like she had, like a lot of people around is in that same area would have been in. Like, she's not like a Jennifer Aniston or, a Julia Roberts, where she starts her career off through television and then slowly but surely becomes the movie actress that we know her as. And with her, it's just kind of like she's just been kind of doing like little things. She's been sticking mostly on the indie circuit. She made a really great underrated film from 2012, Friends with Kids, which I actually really like a lot, and I do recommend checking that one out. That's another great underrated movie. And the movie overall is very funny. Like I said, it works because you like the relationships between Westphal and Jurgensen, and also Westphal and Scott Cohen, who plays the guy that she may or may not still have an interest for, even though they didn't date for a while. But the movie really is very solid stuff. It's a very well-made film. It's a very funny film. You do like a lot of the chemistry between the leading actress and the two people involved in her throughout the course of the film. It's a very fun, lighthearted comedy, and it works very well. It's a very creative movie. It does a lot to really entertain people, and it's a really well-made film, and one that I don't think a lot of people really know about. And, I mean, I think this is one you really should check out. If you want to see a movie where you have gay people being seen in a positive way that doesn't feel like it's being forced onto you, or something on the obscure levels of some other TV shows and movies around the time, Kissing Jessica Stein definitely is that movie that makes it work so well. I highly recommend checking it out. It's a very well-made film, a very underrated gem. Check this movie out. You will not be disappointed by it. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and when we meet next time, we'll take a look at 3 more movies, including Wesley Snipes in the sequel to Blade 2, Steven Spielberg's infamous 20th anniversary re-release of E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and also Sorority Boys, infamous for a number of different reasons, and pretty much the opposite of what Kissing Jessica Stein was able to do, pretty much. But we'll delve into that one on the next episode, along with the other 2 movies. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more movies like this, please hit the place on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.